We can't even time it in person.
In person,
We can't even time it in person. Hey, welcome back, Moto Academy episode number 142. And I know that for sure because I'm looking at the notes that Ethan left me. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't look silly. I don't know. Who knows? But Dave Drakes, we're in person.
We're in person. Put it for you. See it. See it. See it.
You got a lot of coconut oil on today or what?
A lot. Well, your boy's glistening. Look at the legs.
Yeah. I need it. I've been using the pool a lot. I tell you what, though.
Dry out.
We have a salt pool
mm-hmm.
instead of chlorine. And technically, I guess the salt turns into chlorine once it's like has some voltage applied.
But it's different.
No, you feel nice kind of when you get out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think just my sun exposure the last couple of days, still drying out over here.
You got to get on the coconut oil regimen.
Yeah,
that and some avocado oil, buddy.
Avocado oil too. So you know what I've been using, and this has saved me the last probably, I figured this out right around 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting two things that I found were the problem. When I was traveling, going to these classes,
mm-hmm.
I had chronic dry skin.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. And I'm like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
I figured out, okay, if I use castor oil,
it's good. It's thicker oil.
Yep. Yeah, I can put it on before I go to bed at night. I don't. Now I've made the mistake of putting castor oil on in the morning and then going out and teaching class, and I was like a frying pan. So I learned my lesson the hard way there. But if I put castor oil on pretty thick before I go to bed,
mm-hmm.
dialed.
Yeah.
I think for some people you'd have to be careful because it might make you like break out.
Yeah, for some people
thick.
It can clog your pores.
Yeah.
If you're just everyone's a little different. But
for me, works beautifully. And then the other thing I realized is that I can't, when I travel, I need to be very particular about where I wash my face. Because if the water's really hard,
I think it's mine over there.
It like, for example, if I go to California or like in Arizona, I've noticed this. If I take a shower there, there's something about the water that just dries me out and shrivels me up. So if I take a shower when I travel, I'll bring like face wipes.
Yeah.
And I won't wash my face in the shower.
Okay. Works.
So Moto Academy podcast, skincare. There you go.
I had a question. I was doing trivia, I think last year, where I asked a bunch of racers their skincare routine. And the only person who had a solid one was Dave Pulley. Everyone else was like dirt and grease. Dave Pulley was like, oh, dude, I got a full list. It's like, that's my boy.
Yeah, drunk elephant. And then I put this on.
But yeah, dude, I will always remember, I forget where we were. It was either Seattle. Because you remember, we used to go to the races. Afterwards, usually go to like a cool place to get some food and chill and stuff. And you would run back to the hotel and you'd be done 10 minutes. I would shower. I'd be rushing showering, but the lather up afterwards, dude, you'd be like, God. Come on, Dave.
25-minute just full body lather process.
And I'd come out and you were like, it's freezing. I'm like, dude, I'm warm.
Oh my God. But it's funny what you learn over the years because you start to travel a lot and you have to figure it out.
That's why you need black friends. Black friends tell you.
You know, as I've gotten older too, what I've realized, I don't know if black people are good at this too, is figuring out.
I don't know if the blacks are quite skilled at this yet, but
just figuring out pillows.
Oh yeah,
I've become very particular in what pillow I need. I used to always sleep on my stomach with my head turned.
Yeah,
and now I just sleep like a mummy on my back, and so I need a firm pillow to do that. Yeah. So as I'm getting older, I'm just getting a little bit more regimented in the old routine, skincare, sleeping, you name it.
Yeah.
Also, last night went out for a birthday dinner.
Oh, really? Okay.
And we went to the Foundry in Hartford, which you need to go. It is unbelievable. Last night might have been one of the best dining experiences I've ever had.
Really?
They figured out it was my birthday. The chef and the sous chef know me, which was cool. So like this is like a really like the kitchen is open. It's cool, but it's a high end place. And so they knew it was my birthday before Allie even had to bother telling them. So they just kept coming to the table with complimentary this and complimentary this, and they know I like foie gras, so they're bringing the foie gras out. They know Allie likes their whatever they do, like in-house chips with some special dip.
Yeah,
brought that out for Allie. It was crazy. Like we only ordered maybe 4 or 5 different things, but they just brought out like 10 things by the end of dinner.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. Where was I going with that? Why
did
I mention that?
Oh, pillows. We were talking about pillows for a second.
Yeah. And then what?
Birthday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
ADD
went
is
out for
bad.
birthday dinner. Didn't even have a glass of wine, which I, on a special occasion, maybe I would have a glass of wine. Didn't even do that because I like feeling good.
Yeah.
And if I have a glass of wine, especially if I have a dessert or a couple of desserts after, and I just have too much sugar, I wake up the next morning feeling like I'm hungover and I don't feel
groggy, slow, bloaty. The only I don't drink, never drink. The only time that I've like actually sipped wine was at the point, because it was just that imported wine. Like I could smell it from like across the table, and I was like, that smells like a flavor, not even like the alcohol, but like a flavor that like I have to try to fully appreciate the meal that I'm having and the ambiance of the place. And that was like a sip, and I was like, oh, okay, like I understand why this is a thing now. You know, like sommeliers exist and stuff like that. But that's the only time.
So you only had a sip.
I had like a sip or two, and then I was like, oh, okay, cool.
That's smart, because that's all it is, and that's why I wanted to have it last night. It's not because I wanted to feel a buzz. I wanted to it tastes like I had duck and I had foie gras as an appetizer. You have a good steak. Like it's just different wines are paired really nicely with the food. It's
almost like it becomes a seasoning to the food, like a complimentary. But maybe that's the move is, I can get a glass, but it doesn't mean you have to finish it. Exactly.
Just touch it to your lips a little bit and get the taste.
It's kind of, exactly. But
you know how many people care about this listening to
That's a dirt bike.
If Mr. Beast was listening to this podcast right now, he would have been like, you just lost every single one of your people within the first 7.5 minutes of your podcast.
Lost pretentious
just zero
dirt
retention. Do you know that you do dirt bikes, right? Not skincare and sommelier talk and pillow talk.
Oh gosh, we're bougie.
Well, guys, thankfully for you, we do have podcast notes that Ethan created.
Thank you.
And Ethan pays attention to knowing what you guys want to listen to. Let me pull these pants down so that way people aren't looking at just crotch shots all day long.
I'm showing off the goods, dude. So I can,
nice.
I'm trying to keep the views up.
Nice. Yeah. I tell you what, no requests positive or negative on shorts versus pants in the podcast. So I think we're safe so far.
Because Daddy was showing some skin last time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's still, we don't know yet.
Okay.
So I guess you could keep going for now.
We'll do some questionnaires
until we figure it out. Let's start this podcast continuing our conversation on women's moto, shall we?
Perfect.
So
I could throw in this room.
I heard about this girl this week that I found. I did some deep dive digging, and Racing Kyler, is that her name?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I hate you so much.
I'm going to take full credit for finding her.
Of course.
And like, as I always do.
We have it recorded that I have brought her up on previous.
Yeah. Well, she is the girl that had the bloody nose in that cute video a couple years ago.
Yeah,
right?
with the same girl. Braids. Yeah.
Won a regional qualifier
in the 65 class. So when we talk about Loretta's, a lot of people talk about obviously Pro Sport, 250B. They might even say a schoolboy, Super Mini 2, something like that. But people do not understand the level of competitive, just everything that the mini cycle classes have. The 50 senior, the 65, the over and under, the 85s, the junior minis. All these are some of the most competitive classes. And look at the people who have won it in previous years. You've been there, 65s. Look at the people that have won or been top 3 in those classes. They are your 450 champions. They are the people who have had titles, who have been top 3 in Supercross championships. That is a highly competitive class. Now, it's not a guarantee that if you win or do well in mini cycles, it'll translate to big bikes. Not a guarantee, but generally, because it's so competitive, the cream rises to the top, and you can see all of those guys have a great career. The fact that she won, this should carry the same weight as if, like, oh my gosh, a female rider won the 250B mod, or whatever it's called now. Unlimited or limit, whatever.
Yeah, it's basically, I consider it almost the same.
The same, exactly,
or at least close to it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because again, I bring it back to when I was growing up racing, and 65, 79 was stacked. And all of the fast people continue. If you looked at the top 10 in 65, 79, the top 10 wasn't far off when you got to 250B and 250A.
Exactly.
It's the same top people that continue. And some might argue, oh, well, it's just a qualifier for Loretta's, but winning a regional was a big deal from what I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Especially nowadays when you have everybody racing a million backup regions where
sure.
everybody's there probably.
Yep. Which is that's kind of a new thing, right? Unless you were
it was really less
good
popular.
Rider. Yeah.
Like the rich kids and maybe some of the top kids did it in our day. I only did one ever.
Yeah.
So it was a miracle. I made it both classes at all. Well, I remember, I don't know if I ever told you this story. It was Pleasure Valley or Dublin Gap maybe one year where for a regional, I got knocked out in one of the classes. And at a regional, I'm pretty sure you could race like 4 classes, right? So I was qualified for 4 classes, racing 4 to try to make as many as I can so I could pick my 2 favorite to go to Loretta's. But at least you got to make 2, right? In my situation. And knocked myself out in one of the classes. So it takes that one out of the equation. And my dad had me go back out in another one, got knocked out again in another one.
Jeez.
And I think it was the same day. And then went out again and qualified. and qualified in 2 classes still.
Yeah.
After getting knocked out twice.
Jeez, dude.
I mean,
crazy.
To give my dad some credit here, or just anybody that might have been involved in that situation. We didn't know then.
Yeah, I was gonna say if that was 2025.
Oh my God, he would have been in jail.
Just serious.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Thinking of when I tell this stuff to Mary about like growing up racing, and she's like, "Well, how come you don't like go to the hospital?" I'm like, it never occurred to me. Like, it's just when you're hurt, suck it up, get back on the bike, and keep going. And like explaining that to her now, she's like, so is that abuse? Like, is that what you guys loved as children?
Well, me saying that out loud, that sounds like crazy. A fake story.
Yeah. Yep.
Get knocked out. Get out there again. Knocked out again. Keep going.
You'll be good. Can you see? Okay, go ahead.
You're fine. Yep. And still qualified for 2 classes because it was like, you had the one shot, and at that time it just felt like all of our lives were riding on that one thing. Yeah. But back to racing Kyler. Yeah. Shout out, because nice timing too, selfishly for us, talking about and getting just blasted that women have some potential.
Yeah.
This is what it takes. Raising and bumping up that ceiling a little bit.
So this is 2 girls now. First one was Hannah, and I cannot remember.
At a Loretta qualifier?
Loretta qualifier.
So there's a different girl too?
Yeah. I think she won her super mini area, if I'm not mistaken. And now racing just won her regional in 65. So again, 2 hard hitter classes where you've got a woman on top, which is.
And I know this isn't a Supercross championship, but when I say that a woman is capable of winning that, I don't mean tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
I just mean at some point in the future. So and this is what it takes. It takes that ceiling being raised, so another girl then believes, oh, I can do it. And it probably won't be in Racing Kyler's era that a girl can compete at the top. But she'll inspire the next girl 3 years behind her that can get a little faster, and so on. That's super cool. And so also in the notes, they're broadcasting Thunder Valley Pro Women's Race
today. Yeah.
Just kind of by chance because of weather.
Exactly. So, bad news.
I'm excited to watch that.
For sure. Bad news for some people that they couldn't watch racing yesterday. Great news for the whole of the sport, because I don't know if I think you've seen a couple highlights. The girls are flying. So it's going to be great racing. So you're going to get 3 different classes of amazing racing. So I think it's going to be absolutely epic. This is cool. And I hope this is like a cool, almost like a tryout for possibly having them on the broadcast for next season. I think that would be great. Even if they do abbreviated some sort of something, just the fact that you have the women on the same broadcast, huge. Yep. Because people are asking for it. Like we want to see
us one 10-minute moto.
Thank you. Yeah. Something,
right.
So
super cool. Yeah. And I don't follow the sport anywhere close to like you do. I think we all know that. But I see some of the interviews from these girls. They all have their own cool little personalities and their own thing going on. Yeah. Like the KK girl.
Lachlan. Or sorry, no. Oh my gosh. Moto
Come on,
KK.
Dave.
What's
Moto
her
KK? What is her last name?
It's on the tip of my tongue. Everyone's got a freaking nickname and it's driving me crazy.
Gosh darn it.
Michaela, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's first name.
Yeah.
Let's see. She's on a Honda that I know. Super cute girl. Nielsen.
I
wouldn't have guessed that.
There we go. Yeah.
Wouldn't have guessed that. super cute girl. Like in her interviews, she's cool. I don't know how old she is.
All that stuff.
Probably pretty young, if I had to guess. That's super cool. Yeah, I just love it. And she does off-road stuff as well. But that seems pretty common. The girls. That's another thing. Like the guys specialize. These girls are just doing whatever,
dude.
They're flat tracking. They're on the street.
Give them a throttle and 2 wheels. I'll figure it out.
They're on quads sometimes. But
no, it's cool. That's a good point. They all do kind of have their own personalities. I love JJ's interviews, and I know I'm going to sound super biased. That's my girl. I love her to death. But JJ's, like, you can see she comes off the track. She's on it. She's like, they're fast and I'm tired. You know, like it's super funny to like see her.
Has she been doing well? Have they had 1 race or 2?
They've had 2 so far.
Oh,
so the first one she podiumed. She got a 3rd. Had I think bad starter, went down the first one. Second one she got landed on.
I saw that video.
You saw the yeah. So
that was her that got landed on.
I'll show you she sent me a bunch of she had a huge hematoma on her butt, busted open chin. I'll show you the photos after, but yeah, they were gnarly.
Well, so she's lucky she didn't get hurt worse than that.
For sure. She broke her finger. I don't know who landed on her. I have no idea. But she couldn't jump the triple. She wanted the full thing, but someone checked up and she had to like scrub.
Yep.
And it's kind of a blind sort of jump from what I hear, and girl just couldn't see her.
Well, I saw the video, and in the video you couldn't really see the full lead up, but it looked like one of those situations where it was like jump, 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 and then one person messed up and had to be the first to not jump, which is what happens in Supercross first lap on the triple, where it's like you don't want to be the guy that's the first one doubling the triple.
Exactly.
But there's always that guy. So there's always that risk. And then there's always the risk that the person behind that guy isn't going to know that he's not going to do it. And it's very, very, very scary.
Yep. So.
And that was like worst case because she was coming back up as they were coming
over
down.
the rise. It was. It looked brutal, but she's a tough girl, man.
Gosh, that's the type of stuff that I see, and I'm like, Millie, don't race dirt bikes. Please don't race dirt bikes.
Yeah,
because if I was a parent and I saw that,
we're done.
Oh yeah,
we're done, dude. I'm going.
I don't know what
blow.
I would do.
Clutching the pearls. I'm screaming. The full deal, but. I say that now, but the second she shows interest, like if Maeve's like, I have a dream, I'm like, God, now I gotta, no matter what it is, right? So yeah, crazy. Yeah, crazy sport we have. But
if she comes to you Martin Luther King style and just I have a dream.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit cultural appropriation from a very white baby.
Let's see here. I'll go off of Ethan's notes a little bit. We do have some podcast questions as well. We had a video on YouTube drop maybe 5 or 6 days ago now with Zane from the UK. I don't know if you saw it on my personal channel. Young kid on a YZ125. Really, really cool video. And I think we talked about this a little bit last podcast, in that we had him just change 2 things and stand up deeper and get off the rear brake earlier and do that time comparison. That video did come out on YouTube, performed well, thank God, because a lot of times you make videos that you think are great and then they just don't perform worth the crap.
And then the ones that you think are just fillers explode.
Blow up, get a million views for no reason.
Yep.
This one actually did well. And what's nice is that we're starting to get more traction again, finally, on our longer format storytelling kind of vlog style YouTube videos again. For the last 2 years, we've been focusing just on short form, and our short form's been killing it. Like our YouTube views are millions of views per month higher than what they used to be, but it's all on YouTube Shorts.
Now, I'm going to ask for the audience, in terms of monetary and just overall growth, are they viewed the same, the short form views that you get versus the long form, or views, or would you prefer to have one over the other for growth in all aspects?
No, I think the long format storytelling vlog style views are more important.
Gotcha. Because
for somebody to watch a 10-minute video as opposed to somebody watching a 10-second reel, that's a different level of investment in your brand. So, and I found that when we've had the most momentum as a brand is when we're getting views on our 8-minute plus videos.
Gotcha.
There seems to be a correlation there. So we're getting more views again, finally, on the proper long, and I say long, but 8-minute plus videos, which is cool. So that one came out. Then we had another one with the owner of Fradden MX, which is a track in the UK. His son on a 125 did a lesson with him. And with him, really fast rider too on 125, but really bad posture. And you could just tell before he even went out. I knew it before he even went out on the track. He was sitting on his bike and was like this. And I go, oh, I know what we're going to have to work on.
Yep.
So as soon as he starts riding, he rode exactly the way that he just sat casually, which was shoulders hunched forward, abs turned off. And so the whole video and my whole lesson with him was talking about posture. Because when you're hunched over like this and you have that bad posture, the easiest way to describe it is you just become a passenger because you are swaying back and forth, forward and back.
No control.
You have no control.
Yeah.
As soon as you sit the way that you and I are now in these podcast chairs, we're engaging our core a little bit and you're pulling shoulders back. Your lower body can start to work freely. Now you can actually flow with the bike, ride with, let the bike do its thing underneath you.
Okay.
And I tell people the starting point is not learning that on the dirt bike. The starting point is learning how to have good posture in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Yep. Crazy important. Just structurally as a human being. I've talked a lot about it this year. Good subconsciously, because when you have bad posture, that's your body signaling to your brain that I'm a loser. There's probably one of the books behind me. Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules of Life. The first rule is sit up straight with your shoulders back. And it talks about the subconscious power of having good posture versus poor posture. And just the ancient mechanisms in your brain of your body. It's not just your brain signaling to your body signals back to your brain. So when you're walking around like this, your brain's going, oh, we're a loser. All right, cool. Yeah. We're a loser. When you do this, that's your body signaling to your brain that I am strong, I am powerful, I'm a winner,
I'm ready.
Yep.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And all of that starts off the bike. Yep. So he had that first note. Glad you put that there, Ethan, because the amount of people I have to remind that to at class is, I just think it's just not on people's radar, right? It's like the posture seems like a secondary, unimportant thing.
Yeah.
And never talked about in our era, by the way.
Never. Elbows up and then
elbows up was the only technical term I ever heard.
And then twist the throttle. Never footwork. No. Never. I remember
maybe stand up. Maybe
stand up. Yeah, I heard stand up a lot. Elbows up, and when you corner, you get right up on that gas tank. Yeah. And that's all. That's all I remember. But as far as the posture thing goes, I think for a lot of people, I know for myself, whenever I correct myself, it sucks at first. It is your back is sore because you're like this now, which you're more powerful in this stance, which I don't know the anatomy of it all, but I'm like, man, I'm in the right position. My back hurts worse. But until you get used to it and then you activate the right muscles and get them, clicking and breaking out old habits, it's gonna suck at first. Yeah. And then until you start to do it and you realize, man, I've got so much more control and I feel so much more connected to the bike and
it doesn't feel racy. Nothing about this feels like you're going fast.
Exactly. Yep.
This feels like you're going fast. And I catch myself. I mean, you guys can imagine when I've got 2 full-time videographers. Every time I touch the dirt bike, there's a camera on me and I get a chance to watch it back. So I am very particular in what I look like. I still do this a lot. And especially from race footage from round 1 of Moto Academy Supercross, I'm doing a lot of that. And it was even worse when I started putting my foot out because then the corners got loose. And so I was making mistakes with my lower body. My foot was going out. Then it would tighten my hamstrings and hunch my back even worse. And I see some of that footage and I'm like, oh boy.
Did you notice it more as you were getting tired or more throughout the beginning of the racing?
Honestly, maybe the opposite of what you would think, more at the beginning.
Really?
When I was trying to be racy, I was making more mistakes and coming forward more because I was trying to be racy. Yeah. Right? Because I wanted to go fast. As I got tired and as I got arm pump, I actually did the opposite of what you would think. Instead of unraveling technique wise, I know from experience that I had to just go to feet on because my arm pump was so bad. I had to stop putting my foot out and I had to go back to just the proper posture again, which is what I should have started with in the first place. But I fell down that little bit of a distraction of that gate drops. There's people around you. I'm trying to go fast.
Noise, what's that inner excitement, nervous, and expectations. All that starts to.
And I wasn't overriding, but it was just enough.
Yeah,
it was just enough to where I was making mistakes and holding on too tight and coming forward the way I shouldn't have been. Had I maybe I should have been just based on my fitness riding at 50%. Maybe I was at 65. Right. It wasn't like I was out there throwing a Hail Mary at it.
Yeah.
Are you good, do you think? Your phone rings a lot. Are you fine? Not emergencies? Okay.
Should I check it?
I mean, it's up to you.
Really quick to make sure.
While Dave's checking his phone, this episode is sponsored by 378. Order in the store. Fantastic. What would 378 be? No idea. That's a weird number. This episode is sponsored by LMNT. Guys, they have a new flavor now. And if you're part of the Moto Academy, you've probably heard me talking about it. Dave, have you tried LMNT yet? Or not LMNT, lemonade yet?
I've not tried lemonade.
Lemonade is my new favorite flavor. Try it, order it. Use drinklmnt.com/AJCat330. Go to that landing page because first of all, it gives us credit, so selfishly. And then 2, you can try 8 flavors for free with your order. They'll send you a cool sample pack. And they tend to send our people that use our landing page a bunch of free stuff. Like they always get water bottles and new flavors when they come out. They'll get sent stuff early, which I never get that stuff, by the way. So LMNT, I don't know what's going on, but our people do. So go try it. drinklmnt.com/AJCat330. If you guys ride a dirt bike and you sweat, you need to have electrolytes in your water or you will cramp like nobody's business.
It makes such a difference.
Now, if you're drinking it when you're not riding, just take note that this is high in sodium, so you don't need to mix it super heavy. But I shoot, when I'm not riding, I'll just mix like 1/5 of a pack. I'll literally do what I just did, which is sprinkle a tiny, tiny bit in.
Yep.
And then I'm dialed.
We keep a pack, like a variety pack at the house. And I think this is the only time Mary's on top of her stuff. Where it's like, if we get down to like 1/3 of the pack, she's like, order another one. It's like, geez, okay, cool. But like, wish you were that way about your gas tank. But we keep it in the house nonstop.
Worse said that with everything in the house.
Dude,
I'm like, why does it have to run out? And then we have to be out of it for 4 weeks before you order again. I mean, we could do it too, I guess. But if it's her responsibility,
dude,
just put it on auto or order it in time so I don't have to go without toothpaste for a week.
It drives me insane. And then I have to go to my freaking travel bag and grab my freaking toiletries toothpaste. Oh, dude, it drives me.
Oh, the stuff that we run out of at the most inconvenient times.
It's awful. And I will always, it never fails. It never fails. We're
trash bags. I mean, everything.
We will be like, something happens where like we have to be up super early in the morning for like this one flight or blah, blah, blah. Go to start the car and I'm like, why is it on E? We're running late. Now I got to stop at the gas station and we already live in the boonies, like it's just a whole.
Okay, see now if Allie's listening to this, the fuel in the cars is my responsibility. And as I'm giving Allie crap for all of the forgetfulness, our vehicles are on E all the time.
Jeez.
But it's because I like to make a game out of it and see how long I could go once it says 0 miles to
Gosh. It's good. Dave's going to catch up with you the worst
I learned
time.
to, now that we have a baby, not to be that way.
Yeah.
But I used to, especially like in the litter box. The litter box, by the way, for those of you that don't know that aren't OGs, it was a Ford Econoline conversion van, which Dave's dad also had a Ford conversion van, right? Same thing, basically. Maybe yours was a little older, late 80s.
I think ours
was early 90s.
Like early 80s, I think.
Early 80s.
Yeah. We just kept gutting it and redoing and stuff like that.
Wow. So his was, yours was probably 10 years older than ours. Yeah. But eventually this thing then got handed to me when I turned pro. And so now I'm just driving this thing all over the country. We plasti dipped it all black. I mean, we wrote Daytona 2K whatever on it. Each year, like you get a fresh paint job for a Daytona race. But I would keep a bike hitch on the back. So I'd put my bike on it and then I would have a little gas can, not for the dirt bike, a little gas can for the van because I would run out of gas on a weekly basis, probably 2 or 3 times a week, just run out of gas in random spots.
Run it dry.
Yeah. Just fill it up, just coast on into the gas station.
That's so bad. We ran out of gas in ours. We probably the same engine in ours that you did on the way up to Hemmons one year.
Oh yeah.
And I kept telling my dad, I was like, hey, he's horrible with directions. So I'm like, if you need me to help navigate, even though we've been there since forever, let me know or whatever. Here are the gas stations. I was really good about marking them even when I was a little kid. Because my dad hated driving long distances. So I'd have to like, in order if I wanted to go race, I had to like literally map quest it with like the printouts, then circle like, hey, where we could stop and stuff like that. And I fell asleep and he just kept driving. Could have easily just said, hey, like where are we at? But we drove, he missed the exit and kept going straight all the way through. I think he almost hit the Canadian border, and he's like, we're out of gas. And I'm like, what do you want me to do, dude? What do you want me to do? So we're out there putting VP premix. He's like, oh, it'll coat the valves. It'll be fine. And he's running out of gas, dude. It was something about those vans just make you really just not sure how much gas you have in it, number one, because the gas gauge is always off.
It just driving the country in those things. Like, in our era, it was before, Garmin. Garmin GPSs didn't come until the later days.
For sure.
Of like, I was just about to turn pro. I mean, most of it was us printing out MapQuest and then having an atlas.
Yeah.
And so I'm 9 years old in the passenger seat trying to figure out how to figure out this atlas and then bring it to the state-specific page when we would get a little closer.
What the heck is Walden?
And then when you would get close enough, then it just became like you would just ask people.
Yeah.
Right. So then this is where my dad really starts getting pissed off because now it's just we're relying on just asking people.
Or you see the person hauling a dirt bike
at the same time they're going to the right spot. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
So many times.
The fact that we were able to get to Ponca City in Oklahoma and the World Mini in freaking Nevada.
Crazy.
Is insane that we even made it to those places.
Yeah, because even like even coming here sometimes, like I know where you live, but I'm like, oh man, is it this road or that road? Like, so I have to like take a peek.
Yeah, we take it for granted that
yeah, but like back then I'm like, man, you had to really be on your P's and Q's. Like you had to be like to the actual like T for MapQuest to get you there. So yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know how we did it, to be honest. And we're dating ourselves with that conversation a little bit, I guess. But, all right, pardon me, guys. I guess if this dances all over the place a little bit, but that's okay. That's what Moto Academy podcasts are. This is a good one. This will be fun. Mm-hmm. Dave, if you had to give 3 tips off the top of your head for beginner riders who are going to the track for the very first time.
Oh.
I know we've done probably something like this similar, but almost threw up. If you had to give 3 off the very top of your head, what are you saying? First time at the track.
Go with a buddy or somebody who's been there a couple times that knows the ropes. Focus on fundamentals. Don't worry about, this is your first time at a track. Don't focus on going fast, doing the jumps that all the other guys are doing. Focus on eyes, feet, elbows, good posture, thinking, a couple of corners your head, keeping your eyes, all that stuff. Focus on that stuff. Third, I would say have fun. No pressure, no expectations. Just go and enjoy it because it's fun. These tracks that we have, especially some of the newer, more modern tracks, they're fun. They're meant to be enjoyed, and you want to make it like an enjoyable experience. You don't want to put too much pressure or stress on yourself. So this list could be 100 things, but top 3.
Wait, the couple of the things that you just said, I think are difficult for somebody going to the track for the first time because it can be an intimidating environment. Yes. So I guess my 3 tips going to the track for the very first time. If you can go with a buddy that's been to the track before, that's a huge asset because you can rely on their experience a little bit. If you don't have that, get inside of the Moto Academy app, ask some questions in the community, ask somebody, hey, I'm going to the track on this day. I bet you could find a riding partner in the app to go with you for the day and help you out.
And you know what? I think you're good at this because people like you just glom onto you. But like know the track owners. Introduce yourself to people that are like that run the track. Tell them it's your first time. Have them keep an eye out on you. If they have any tips or tricks, I'm sure they love to brag about how much work they put into the track. And it's cool. It's cool to know those kind of people. So yeah. The
track owners are typically really helpful in a situation like that. I would say, 100%. Right? 2. Create a game plan. Walk the track specifically, like walk the exterior of the track. Know where you're going. Don't just go out there blind. Create like almost like an exit strategy in a sense of just knowing, okay, if there's a lot of people out there, which group should I go out in? Should I ride to the right side of the track, to the left side? On this, maybe there's a huge jump. Is there a place where maybe I could just go around it and safely re-enter after it? It's little things like that where people overlook and then they just throw themselves to the wolves. They're out there and now next thing you know, the people are flying by them like they're dropping an anchor and they don't know where to go or what to do. So it's like, create that game plan. I always tell people when pilots are in an airplane and they're taking off, they have a plan. If those engines cut immediately as soon as they take off, they know what they're going to try and do to land that plane. Most people, when they get on the dirt bike, they don't have a plan. They figure it out as they go. Create a plan.
Yeah.
It's not until you get to a really high level that you subconsciously automatically have that plan, just based on experience, and you can draw from experience. At first, you have to be really deliberate with creating it.
Yeah.
And I see it at class all the time. People do the silliest things where you would, if you had a common sense conversation with somebody, they'd be like, oh, duh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, don't cross the track after a jump. Don't stop on the track after a jump. Duh.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But then when you're out there with your helmet on and things are going, you'll do it.
Yeah.
People will do it. Even parents at classes. We ended the day in the UK at Moto 101. Awesome class, amazing day. I do a beautiful, well-articulated debrief of just, this is a starting point of riding with intention. So from this point forward, I really hope that you guys can draw and take what you learned today and begin to implement those habits and ride with intention moving forward. If you're going to free ride, give us 10 minutes to get off the track so we can all safely, pedestrians and parents included, get off the track and then ride that free ride with intention, because it starts now. Don't just say, hey, AJ's going to, you know, sell some tour shirts over there and hang out with people. I'm going to just go wide open and put my foot out. And what happens? I say, all right, bye guys. Amazing day. I start walking back. Parents, everybody starts walking back. And then like 3 or 4 kids start doing a moto to get to the track exit. And as they're doing that, which that was kind of silly in itself, right? Because they were crossing, I mean, they had 7 more corners to go until they were off the track. Those 7 corners kind of came back on themselves to where the parents are now walking across the track on the landings of jumps. And I'm just like, so now I got Ethan doing one of these. I've got Coach Alessandro trying to wave people down. I'm running this way to try to snag people.
It's always those 65 riders.
So just
disrespectful.
But even in that situation, it was the parents doing silly stuff too. It's like, because they just didn't, they don't think about it because they haven't had the experience to see it go wrong, I guess, yet. And I think that's part of the reason it makes me a little bit of a helicopter dad. Is that I know every way you can hurt yourself in every situation. So it scares me a little bit because I've hurt myself in so many different ways and seen people hurt themselves in so many different ways. I'm hypersensitive to knowing how to avoid it. And so with Millie, I'm like, oh, don't do that. Because I like see the future in a sense. Like I know that she's going to try to do this and this is going to happen. And she's going to hurt herself this way. Where maybe the average person that's getting on a dirt bike going to the track for the first time doesn't have that situational awareness
for sure. Like I can see that.
Anyhow, hopefully that helps. Let's see. Round 3's coming up. Thunder Valley, is it?
Thunder Valley. Did you ever like that track?
Yeah.
What were some things that you dug about that one that made it kind of stand out?
I just got super rutted, kind of like slot car ruts, sort of like how like High Point would get. And elevation with the ruts just felt fun because it maybe felt a little bit slower speed, although Thunder Valley wasn't really slow speed.
The middle section after when I say middle section, I'm thinking
kind of when you drop down.
When you drop down, then you kind of go back around to where like Eli had his bad one. Those 2 sections in between those 2 sections, I'd say those are technical. Those are pretty technical because you're right.
And kind of like off camber. I've been there a ton. I've probably done 10 plus classes there for Moto Academy. Owner's awesome. Dave, I believe is his name. Dave was in the app for a long time, might still be. We have Dave, if you're listening to this podcast, we still need to pay you for the last class we did there. He just like, I think he was so busy trying to get the track prepped and get ready for the national. That tour manager Al is like, I can't pay this guy. He won't give us, he's like trying to ask for ways to pay. And he goes, do you have Venmo? And he just responds back, yes. But then like wouldn't respond for another 2 weeks. And like
kidnap him to pay him.
Hey, and Al's like, I can't figure this out. I'm like, well, he'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
He'll get back to you.
That's funny. I could see that
fun track
being fun for you. For us mere mortals, slot car ruts for like 8 corners in the middle,
and big jumps. So I like big jumps. That track even they leave their jumps pretty big, even when it's not pro day. And the one thing you have to really take into account at Thunder Valley is it's a mile high, just about. So 250s are slow. Slow to the point where when I'm at class, I do not steal a 250. I refuse. I take a 450. And even a 450 there, if you get a YZ, you'd be okay. But if you get a slower 450, it feels slow too.
Jeez.
You've just got to go wide open to clear everything.
Is there a jump on the pro circuit that either you like the most? Well, I mean, this one that you like the most out of all of the pro national tracks, and one that you've constantly had to be like psych yourself up for, even at your level. Like, okay, oh my gosh, this is scary, but come on, one more lap. You know, what are those two for you?
Good question. Let's see. So Millville 2013, I remember had, so you got rollers, left, rollers, quick switchback, and then it's that scrub table.
The catapult?
Yes.
Up the hill?
Yes.
Yeah.
Catapult, and actually 2013 was catapult year.
Oh, really?
Yep. And it was perfectly built that year. It was like, I have a picture of me doing a one-handed whip in practice, just completely upside down. Like, that was probably the most fun jump of the season that I remember that year. It was just a perfect floater whip, kind of scrub whip type of jump.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because you are kind of coming off of a right-hander drop down sort of sweeper. It kind of leads you into that.
Yeah,
so
I
can see that.
And then when you land, you just, and you grease it, you go, and it flows all the way back up the next hill.
Yeah.
Oh, it just, it feels so cool. And Millville has a couple of other really cool scrub floater jumps too, like even the finish line section and before the finish line.
Yep.
Super cool. Let's see, because I like a good jump conversation here. Let's go through some other tracks. High Point that year maybe had a couple of decent size ones. I'm pretty sure.
The High Point always felt more like they just put a lip on a hill.
Yeah.
And then that's just it looked like cool big jumps, but it almost looked like it was like natural terrain, not really built for.
Yeah, like one year I'm pretty sure I did the tunnel jump to the roller.
Yeah.
Might have been 2013 year. Do you know which one I'm talking about? The one that I think Carmichael did for the first time. And that's exactly that, right? Just natural terrain, kind of like, not natural terrain, but it very much feels like it.
It uses the undulation elevation kind of deal. Yeah.
I want to say maybe I jumped that year. That's a really scary one because you're jumping from just looking at nothing and you can't figure out how fast to go. Redbud that year was my first year racing Redbud on a 450. And because 2012 was my first year pro. 2013 I was on 250. 2013 I was 450.
That was Langston's team?
Yes, in 2012. 2013 I was on a Cowie, and I jumped the Rocco's Leap first lap.
Really?
Yep, because I knew that one I was a little bit afraid of. Just looking at it, it's obviously huge.
What made you afraid? Like what aspects? Because when you say afraid, is that the same as every other rider's afraid? Like, I just have this big distance to jump, or were there other aspects that made you a little more nervous?
Let's see. With the Rocco's Leap, I think I was just afraid that it just was a massive jump going up a massive hill that TV doesn't really do justice of the fact that it looks like a step up on TV, which it very much is. Most step ups aren't scary because you can see the landing. This one,
you can't.
No. No, not only can you not see the landing, but you're going up the takeoff for what feels like forever. Yeah. So it's a wild feeling. It's one of those where as soon as you take off, it's like the same feeling you get in the pit of your stomach when you jump a freestyle ramp at like 75 feet or more, where you just get the, and it takes your breath away from you for a second.
Yeah.
But I knew that wide open would be the sweet spot. So I just went as fast as my 450 would go on the very first lap, and I cleared it perfect. And that day it was a good year. I'll have to go back and watch footage to see what the corner was like before it that year. Can't remember, but it was set up to where it was very jumpable and it was a blast. I mean, I remember on sight laps, just throwing, like, that was early days of Oppos kind of were just beginning to exist. Like just tossing them on a press day. Oh, that brings me to another jump. Sky shot at Unadilla.
Oh yeah. It's always a fan favorite.
Oh yeah. I would just do whip sessions all practice long, just practicing throttle side down, clutch side down.
Yeah.
I have a video of me on a sight lap 2013 and the crowd just erupts because I knew it. I'm like, let's do one clutch side down so that way they can see underneath the bike. And I just tossed it huge because on that one you can land anywhere.
Yeah. You've got a lot of, I won't say room for error, but you can, you don't have to be perfect.
It kind of hurts because it's not a steep enough landing for how high you're going. But that was a sick one.
I guess you would be considered a local for that one, right? Like, yeah. People still show you like the hometown love. So that, I'd see them going crazy for that one.
What are some other tracks?
There's another jump that I was thinking about asking about that I can't even. We started talking about Red Bud.
Bud's Creek had a couple that were a little intimidating, I guess, on like race day.
But those landings always felt like I rode it on like a pro-am day or something.
Yeah,
we had like a race, and those landings always felt like they were so like sky shot times 1,000, where the landing was so gradual that I'm essentially landing on acceleration bumps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always felt like that when I went to Bud's. I never felt like I was jumping with like, you know, an intended landing, and I felt like I had drive. I would always come up short just so I can bounce and avoid the acceleration bumps that were always there. Or almost land on like
that. Definitely hasn't been like that recently.
Yeah, actually, this is going back to my first year in 450.
Bud's actually has some fun jumps too. Like you do the finish line. The finish line jump's actually pretty fun. And you kind of do that awkward section up the hill. Yep. And then when you jump back down the hill and turn left, there's a table right out of that corner. That's a really fun scrub jump. I have actually a cool picture of me from 2013. In the air side by side with Villapoto on that jump, which is cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Washougal. Really, that jump going into the back.
Oh, the left-hander.
Into the left-hander.
Yeah.
The jump going in and the jump coming out of that section. One of the most fun sections in Moto. Easily.
Yeah.
Super good whip jump going in. Super fun scrub whip jump coming out. And that corner just flows super nice too.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go back to Washougal this year for tour, which is awesome because that's been a fun one for class as well. We just got, I don't know if it's locked in yet, but we're working on a very, very popular MXGP track for a 5-day camp.
Ooh, can you tell what country it's in? Or is that too much of a giveaway?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Portugal. And I don't know the name of the track actually, but when we said it, Alessandro just lit up, and Al was all excited. Yeah. Everybody on the team knew the track name other than me. I mean, driver Jamie. I just don't follow the sport close enough, I guess. But yeah, which would be sweet because I think what Alessandro said is that track is located pretty central enough where you could easily get to there very easily. Spain, France, so we could pull from 4 or 5 Euro countries. Started with an A.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Let me look it up. It's not locked in yet by any means, but the track owner is very excited about us trying to book a 5-day.
I know the track you're talking about, but I didn't know it was that central.
Let's see. Agueda. Let me look it up.
I know you're.
They made it sound like it was sick.
It is a sick track. The one GP track that I've always wanted to check out, where they don't really go there now, is Lommel. I always want to check out Lommel.
Yeah. Did you say they don't go there?
I don't think they go there anymore.
They don't?
I could be wrong, but I have not seen many highlights from a Lommel in a minute. But that's one where I want to just ride it one lap. I know it'll kick my butt. I just want to ride it one lap to say I rode it, because that place looks horrible.
Oh yeah,
it looks.
Oh yeah, but it'd be a blast, especially like just to make videos there of like
for sure.
Me and the team just trying to get around it.
Dude, that reminds me of like when you're like 85 at Southwick and you fall and stop and having to get going again. Oh gosh, dude.
Yeah, and you hear stories of people going to Lommel for the first time and just getting like fast guys going there and just getting beat by somebody else by like 20 seconds a lap.
But local.
Yeah. Yeah. I like stuff like that though. Yeah. I saw Carson Brown just did Erzberg.
Did he?
That didn't look very enjoyable.
That dude does everything. Yeah, I couldn't.
I think he said he made it halfway or something like that.
I'll be honest, you couldn't get me to spectate Erzberg.
It doesn't look, I mean, half the time it looks like they're just stuck on an obstacle trying to just like throw their bike over top of it.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound super, I mean, that like I did the 24-hour at Glen Helen off-road race, blast.
Yeah.
Because you're riding and racing the whole time.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not hard enduro to the point where you're carrying your bike.
You need a group of people to go up a rock
And then
cliff,
another thing I thought of as I was watching that, because I was watching him do it, and sometimes I watch Carson Brown stuff and I'm just, he leans into his character heavy duty, right? I mean, he like overrides everything when it's completely unnecessary.
That's cool.
So if you watch those clips, to me, it's kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
But I respect it because it's that he's playing that character. He's leaning into it. Right. But for me, one part of me watches it and I go, completely unnecessary. Like I could have hit that corner faster and the bike, you wouldn't have even heard my bike, you know? And so he comes flying by the camera at Erzberg, just yeah. And to think like 5 minutes later, he's just stuck in Rock Hill anyways, you know? So like, what was all of that for? Like, what was that intensity for? You should have just been saving your energy.
I love watching that dude just go like at his home track, just completely wide, like literally does not let off the gas and just corners and doesn't matter the bike, 450, 85, TTR, XR, doesn't matter. He just never lets off the gas and just slides the rear end to wherever he, that part's
kind of what it looks like.
That part's cool, man.
But as I was watching that video, I thought to myself, I go, oh, I can never do this. And the reason I thought I could never do it is because those guys have to like fix their bike.
Yeah.
You know, if they snap a lever off, which probably happens all the time. If they throw a chain, if they pop a tire, which I guess they're running moves, so they're probably okay there.
Yeah.
But they have to fix their bike. I'd be out.
Yeah.
I don't know how to change a lever.
I think, again, we don't like the limiting self-talk, right? I just don't have, I wouldn't have fun. It'd be like, hey, Dave, can you be an accountant? It's like, yeah, I probably could if I had to, but I'll be bored out of my mind. Like, I feel like that's the same thing at Erzberg where you're like, yeah, could you do it for the challenge and say you did it? Like, yeah, I would not have fun. It's always raining. It's always cold. Yeah. It's always slippery. Like I would, that's not enjoying riding my motorcycle. I feel like the start of it and the big quarry section, cool. That'd be awesome. And then stop the race there. And they'd be like, all right, guys, it was fun being here in Siberia. I'm going to go back.
Maybe I'll do it. And then I'll just, when I get to the technical section, I'll just pretend that my bike blew up.
Oh no. Just start hammering the carburetor or something.
Ting, ting, ting. No. Sorry,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah, because I agree. But when things get that difficult, I guess that's the point. Is that it's supposed to be
tough, grueling, manly. I get that. What I have been watching and wanting to get into is, and I'm a strictly moto. I prefer supercrossy style tracks. I don't want to have to wash my bike. I don't want to get dirty. That's my style. Moto Town ruined me. But I have been watching, it's like the Euro, like cross country series where they do like partial, like some moto tracks. These guys are attacking these single tracks like they're Tomac. They're bouncing off the limiter, railing ruts through turns and stuff, and they'll come up to like not even really a jump, scrub the crap out of it.
You don't even know what it is.
It's like it's a drop off. Is that like a log feature? And they'll just scrub down the hill on the limiter. Factory KTM guys hit some bush to bounce off of, and then right back up the hill. And I've been watching that. I'm like, this is sick.
Oh, I've seen some clips recently. Yeah. There's a factory KTM guy. It's got to be Spanish. I don't know where he's from, but he comes, it's like in a grass field.
Yeah.
And the crowd is all there. Comes just flying in wide open, just on the clutch, never lets off, flies off, crashes, still doesn't let off the throttle, and it just kind of hops back on it and keeps going. I'm like, isn't that like a 2-hour race?
That's what I said.
How is this guy doing this for this long?
Exactly. Like they're just racing forever.
That doesn't seem possible.
Oh, it's how do you have that much gas? Number one. But
it's energy. I mean, crazy. I don't know. Am I old? Because just the way that I ride, and I don't go slow really, but it feels slow. Yeah. And it's silent. I ride most any bike and it's just like you can't even hear me out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's my MO. I guess.
You definitely hear me coughing and wheezing and trying to finish the mint in my mouth or something.
Let's see. Gosh. Thoughts on outdoors round 3. Podcast questions? Want to do some podcast questions?
We haven't done them in a couple. Yeah, let's hit some podcasts.
Yeah, we've been putting them off because they've been towards the end of the pod. Okay, so we've got three good ones that Ethan tossed in here. First one is from, by the way, if you guys want to ask your podcast questions and be a part of our community, get in the Moto Academy app.
Do it.
Gosh darn it. I think people are taking our advice on this finally because we have more new subscribers in the last 3 weeks than we've ever seen.
It's awesome.
We do our scorecards every Monday, so I'm really doing a deep dive on analytics every 7 days. And yeah, the last 3 weeks it's been wild. Yeah, more than when we launched the app, where usually obviously like your launch week would be your biggest week of subscriber gain. So shout out to you guys. And yeah, if you want to just be a part of the best Moto community in existence, join the app. But if you want to send your questions in, get in the app. Go to themotoacademy.com. Colton Brady, OG. Okay, guys, help me out. I was at the track today with a buddy of mine, and we were having some great battles. I noticed a pattern that when I started ahead of him, it didn't take long for him to pass me. But once he did, I could stay glued to his rear wheel, and he couldn't get away. For some reason, when he was ahead, it gave me a bit more confidence. Maybe just because I had him right in front of me, showing me that, yes, it's possible to carry more speed through the corner, etc. Then when I would be out front, I just had a little less confidence to push harder. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's faced this. So are there any suggestions or tips on overcoming that, or is it just going to take some seat time? That's a great question. I don't know if I've ever been asked that. And Dave, have you experienced that same feeling before?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like every racer has pretty much the same opinion.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Unless you're Jet Lawrence, I guess.
Unless you're Jet Lawrence, because he can figure it out. But 100%, we prefer to have a carrot to chase. Yeah. We don't want to be the one that wears somebody else's carrot, because think about when you're out front of a really big race, your nerves are going, don't mess it up. You're blowing through lines. You're not focused on your own race. You're carrying momentum forward, thinking about, oh my gosh, is this guy gonna come up the inside of me? Is he going on the outside? Did he brake as hard as I did in this one section? Did he outbrake me? Is he shifting back? Like your mind's focused on somebody else, and you end up going exactly where your mind goes, which is backwards, because you're thinking about somebody behind you. But if you've got that dangling carrot, you're focused on getting him. You're not focused on the mistakes. You're not focused on the issues. You're just focused on catching that person in front of you. So a lot of the noise, the chatter, the distractions, they kind of go away, and it's all focused on, that's my immediate goal. So
yeah, well said. And you also have that person in front of you as the guinea pig. So you can use their, like you said, at their braking zone as, forget about, like, even aside from the mental game, you can just watch where they get off the brakes and just stay on the throttle a little longer. You can see that they took a bad line and then not take that line. So there's a lot of practical usage. So when you're behind somebody, you can learn a lot. Now the negatives are, maybe you're getting roosted. Maybe they're holding you up in certain lines. There's negatives to it as well. But yeah, I think most everybody, Colton, would agree with you in that a lot of times it is easier to be behind somebody.
Oh, for sure.
For a little bit. Carmichael talks about on TV a lot, where he'd rather be the guy behind than having to lead the race the entire time. Him
and Stu battles. You can tell Ricky he didn't pass Stu until he had to. Except for, like, there's the occasion when the year that Stu was on the 252 stroke, like 05 and stuff. But Ricky was cool hanging behind Stu until, like, the 3/4 mark of the race, and he was like, okay, now it was my time to, like, charge and get away.
And Stewart would do that with Carmichael and Supercross too. Yeah,
exact same.
Yeah, and those are people that you guys would consider superhuman, and they still were doing that for a purpose, and it was because they didn't want to be the one leading that guy that's a second behind them and right on their rear tire.
Plus, you don't want to show lines either. Like, you don't want to show when you're faster. So many, which goes into what you just said. Like, you get to see the guy in front of you and see what lines, use him as the guinea pig, and I think I did that with you. I think I was on a big bike and you were on super minis, which you should have been on 450s at that point, but whatever. I forget what track it was, but there was a double section, and I thought it was like rollers. It was a double, and I was behind you, or you were the practice in front of me or something, and you doubled, and I was like, oh, that's a double, and I started doubling. I had no idea. And again, it's a weird sort of akin sort of case, but stuff like that, like, oh, okay, use AJ as a guinea pig. He did that. Or the day I followed you and broke my wrist at Moto Town, when we had the inside was a roller double, the outside was a double table to single or something, and you were like, just follow my lines, because I think I was trying to make it like a half a second or something, and you used the inner roller to double, and I did it for one lap, but you didn't warn me that it was slippery and, like, hey, maybe rolling the throttle a little bit. And I just got on it, slid out, broke the crap out of my wrist, had to miss the whole series. So, but stuff like that, like, that's when, I mean, don't break your wrist like I did, but things like that, like following somebody who is faster or having that carrot really helps you to kind of hone in on a lot of cool stuff too. So
tips if you are the person in front, Colton, because you do want to be good at that as well, is to be able to focus on yourself, try and find somebody else in front of you, even if it's somebody 4 straightaways ahead that you can kind of just start marking and chasing, something to anchor your focus on. Because the last thing that you need to and should be worried about when somebody's behind you is what they're doing.
Yeah.
There are times when if you're in a racing situation, you have to be really conscious of where you're going to protect lines, but the cliche of you need the race in front of you is true for a reason, in that if you think about what's going on behind you, eventually that person's going to go right on by. Yeah. So yeah, you got to just figure out, okay, stick to my game plan. Hopefully if you've ridden that track before, if you've ridden enough laps, like you kind of know what your game plan is anyways. You have your marks to hit. Yep. You have your landmarks to stay in the throttle too. So you kind of know what your plan is. I used to be bad about it.
Same.
Bad. And it was part of my whole evolution too, of being the person that won all the races kind of easily with nobody around, right? Because back in the day when I would race local stuff, not only was I winning, but usually I was winning by a lot. Yeah. So even if I was winning races and somebody was battling with me, I didn't even like that because I just wasn't used to somebody being right on my tire. So then when it got to 65s and 85s, now I'm at these amateur nationals, and not only am I'm not winning, but there's guys on me all the time. There's never a time where there's not somebody right on me. I didn't know what to do. I was always riding behind me, always worried about, and subconsciously kind of just wanting them to go by me so I could just be behind them.
Yeah.
But you can't do that when you're in a race, because you do it to one guy, and next thing you know, you're
letting
the next guy go by. Yeah.
The top 20 for amateur nationals are all AJ Catanzaros.
Oh, I've fallen into that trap in like 450A qualifying in Supercross before, when you got 22 of the top 450 Supercross riders in the world, and it's like, all right, I'll hop behind this guy for a lap, but then you hear somebody else flying up on you on a fast lap. Oh, let them by.
Yep.
Oh, let them.
Oh, crap, rocks.
And next thing you know, the 20 guys have gone by you, and you're like, I can't even find any room on this track to do my thing. It's like, just, you got to worry about yourself.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah. It is tough. But Colton, I will tell you, the more exposure you get to that, the more kind of numb you'll be to, you'll get used to somebody riding behind you. Maybe another tip too is earplugs. You want to know that somebody's there, but you don't want it to sound like they're on top of you. So especially if they're like riding a Yamaha and that airbox is just in your face. Yeah. Earplugs. Just dull the senses a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially in Supercross, because, you're in a stadium and it's echoing and it sounds like somebody could be 2 lanes over.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're on top of you. Earplugs help.
Do earplugs. I've just recently started doing a mouth guard like the last year or so, to kind of have something to like, not really bite on or chew, but just to kind of keep you like, if you need to, a little bit. But earplugs, I think, are
I need to try mouth guard.
Yeah, keeps my teeth pretty.
I had a company sent me a custom fit one that I did a molding for and everything, and I got to find it. I lost it. I've never tried it.
Try it.
I figured it might be good for me because it would help me breathe through my nose more. Instead of, I'm guilty of just riding like this. So you would see pictures of me
like the fish in SpongeBob, just
and I would get off of a moto and I would have swallowed a pound of dirt, like just gagging and throwing up my helmet because I'm just the whole time I'm riding. Yeah, but also the bad part about that, just mouth breathing.
Yeah,
right. So you should be really trying to get those in. You can start when certain heart rate, you can start exhaling.
Yeah.
Through your mouth for sure, but you really should be trying to inhale, I would say, for as long as you can through your nose.
Yeah. It's tough to do.
Colton, good question. Very good question. JD Vanderhorst. Great name. Great name. Podcast question. Hey, I've been watching a lot of Jet lately and of course the Moto Academy. I currently ride a KTM 125 and obviously the pros ride 4-stroke, but I was wondering what are the differences in riding a 2-stroke and 4-stroke? I'm trying to ride really technically correct, but I feel like I have to be wide open on the 125 and not really worry about technique. It's from the Netherlands. Great question from the Netherlands.
I feel like you see a lot more 125 2-strokes overseas than you do here in the States. Like,
yeah, maybe that's because they have a roadmap to race a professional, right? Is EMX considered pro?
Yeah.
Basically?
Yeah, for sure.
It is pro.
Yeah.
And those are all 2-strokes, right? So there's more of a roadmap and a reason to stay on them.
Yeah.
Where I think here there's less of a reason to stay on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely make sense.
And you're also not watching the professional level on them at all. So if in Europe they're watching EMX as well, it'd probably more motivation for kids to be on them. Awesome question, JD. I think I've responded to you in the app explaining this, but I could go more in depth. There is a reason I discourage 125 2-strokes for some people, depending on what their goals are. And also depending on what your weight is. Yeah. If you're 170 pounds, which isn't super heavy, but if you're 170 pounds trying to ride a 125, you've got to ride that bike pretty hard to just get around the track and make that bike produce any power whatsoever. So therefore, if you're not a super fast rider yet, it's going to pull your focus away from technique and working on body position. And it's going to make you focus on just riding too fast for what you're comfortable for. Yeah. And using the clutch maybe a little bit more than you should and winding the bike out more than you need to. I would say that's a negative in that sense. So if you're somebody that's trying to strictly focus on body position, I would say 4-stroke all day long, unless you're super, super light on a 125, or maybe you could get a 250 2-stroke. That's a different story. Or maybe even a 150 2-stroke is fast enough sometimes, depending on your weight. So that's my big thing there. So it's very, very situational. And maybe even, this is why the Stark is a good supplemental bike, maybe even have the 4-stroke as the supplement training tool for body position. And then when you get back on the 125, maybe, okay, you do have to focus a little bit more on going fast. There's a lot of positives to the 125 as well, in that it forces you to carry momentum and it forces you to be in the right gear at all times.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
But usually momentum kind of gets people out of their comfort zone too much to where they're overriding. And the 125s, I've noticed this big time, 65s, 85s, and 125s. It teaches a lot of people how to become clutch abusers, and they don't learn how to use the clutch correctly.
Yeah. Yep.
They think that people tell them to just ride the crap out of that clutch to keep it going.
Yeah.
And that's not really how you should ride it. You really shouldn't touch that clutch until you're 60% of the way through the turn, kind of just feathering it on the way out. Where kids just kind of come in right from the beginning and all the way through. Hopefully that helps. Do you have anything else to say on that?
No, I mean that's it. There are fundamental differences, and momentum being one, lack of engine brake for another. So the way that you have to slow the bike down and be in control, those are two different things as well. Power delivery, you don't have as linear of a power delivery. It's a lot more spiky.
Yeah.
So
which for somebody trying to focus on body position, that can be tricky too.
It's tough.
Not to say that it's not good practice.
No,
and
for
you should learn how to ride all the things, but
for sure. Yeah. Certain bikes make certain things a little bit easier, but that's what I would say. But for like people who are just coming off 85s, going straight from like a super mini to a 250F, that's a big boy jump. So I always tell people, if you can even have a couple of weeks on a 125, it is really helpful just to feel a lighter weight big bike chassis and just how things work in the big bike world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like I did. I rode your 125 that you sold me for
30 minutes.
Yeah.
I
one
love
Moto,
that bike.
one race,
That
and then
bike
got rid
was
of it.
so great, man. If I could find another bike like
Well,
that.
part of the problem also could have been, I'm pretty sure like my first day on it basically was at Winchester Regional, like for a big race.
Yeah. Why did you do that?
I don't know. That was definitely
You'd be better off in your super mini. You probably had more power in your super mini.
Yeah. Next one, Dr. Greg. Gonna hit us with he's got a hard-hitting question here by Dr. Greg. Let's hear what he's got.
What is going on, gentlemen? Quick question or two for you guys. I noticed you were talking about scrubbing and rolling off the throttle with the last trip winners on the jumps you guys were doing. I was wondering, is it customary to try to roll off the throttle? Is that the goal for every jump we're trying to do, or the majority of them? And what would be the case when you'd want to maybe ramp up speed to a jump coming up to it? Just wondering, because I want to know if it's something I should be practicing more to try to gain more speed before a jump, roll off, and then coast over it or not. And second question, when you start doing super...
Let's answer the first question first. Dr. Greg, great question. My fear in releasing that video was that was a drill I was working with Gio, trip winner, on a jump is that Gio was really coming in super, super slow. He had a massive straightaway at Winchester coming in really slow and was relying on when he got to the takeoff to get on the power. So I said, all right, Gio, I want to play a game and we'll prove to you that you don't need to do it that way. So I said, I'm going to stand right here. I want you to come in way, way faster, probably twice as fast as you're coming now. And then when you get to where I'm standing, coast. And so I stood about 20 or 30 feet before the even bottom of the takeoff. So way far early. And he's like, really? Are you sure? I said, yep, just come in really fast, 4th gear, good throttle, and then just coast when you get to me. And he did it, followed my instructions perfectly, and still cleared the jump, coasting that entire distance. So then after that, it gave him the confidence of, oh, all right, well, I could just approach faster than I am. And if I need to just back off a little bit as I get closer to the jump, that's fine. As opposed to coming in slow and then relying on that last second power. And now all of a sudden the bike's kicking every which way. Dr. Greg, I would say if you can find a safe jump to experiment on a little bit with that, you absolutely can. At your level, and for most people that are trying to get comfortable, build confidence with jumping, you really want to, the smoother the throttle, the better. The less we can go up in RPMs or down in RPMs, the more safe it's going to be. So kind of finding the speed and maintaining it is probably your best bet. If it is a jump coming into a corner and something that's not super steep, yeah, you can start rolling off the throttle a little bit as you get into it. Jumps that would be ramping up throttle as you come to the jump face would be jumps that you are trying to preload and create pop on. So trying to think, like Dr. Greg rides at Moto Bros in Okeechobee in Florida. And there aren't many jumps on that track would be that style of jump, because even the bigger ones at Moto Bros
You've got enough runway.
You've got plenty of runway coming into them where you would just want smooth, steady throttle going all the way up.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to do the track in my head and I can't.
Yeah. Even the finish line section, you got the one jump coming out of the corner at the beginning, but it's like a 10-foot tabletop. Then it gets into the bigger ones and it's wide open at that point. So those are pretty much a no-brainer. Yeah. It's few and far between the circumstances where you would need to ramp up throttle. That's just for preload situations, which is usually, jumps that you really, really need to get that pop and that grunt to get up over. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. I did notice that. So I've been in my rehab trying to come back to the sport after the injury. And I realized I'm really uncomfortable doing jumps that aren't the big where you have to like full send and stretch, and I'm not comfortable doing those on throttle. I'd rather be wide open in the straightaway, and most of the 90% of my jumping is off throttle.
Yeah.
And I came up, it was literally a GP track. The biggest table must be 12 feet. Perfect for, minis or GP riders looking just to, get a workout and not worry about big tables and stuff. But I was staying there most of the time, standing up, working on eyes, elbows, just feeling comfortable on the bike again, working out the ankle. And I was like, jumping and all these weird, I'm like, what is happening? I've done jumps so much bigger than this. I never had the kick out and the weird. And I'm like, I take a step back and I'm like, oh man, like I'm doing these jumps.
Time it almost.
Yeah, like I'm doing these jumps and I've never even thought, those are jumps that I just chop throttle on my way to the corner. I'm not even looking at these things. I'm just staying low, chopping throttle, and I'm wide open fourth heading into them, and I'm doing them under braking even sometimes. So it made me feel really uncomfortable to the point where it was like I'm learning like a 65 or a 50 would of like, this is how you time this jump. This is, you know what I mean? It's weird because once you get into that habit, like you talked about, of going wide open or however fast, right? I shouldn't say wide open, but carrying enough speed to be able to do that jump off throttle, you don't really want to jump any other way. It feels comfortable.
It's easier to time.
It's easier to time.
Yeah, but it takes a while. Like you can't start there. So it's like when you teach somebody how to jump, you can't really give them the advice of, well, just go as fast as you can and then just coast the end of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when you get to a certain level, that is how you jump. Until you get to jumps that have like crazy kickers and you have to make sure you're timing that throttle the right way.
For sure. Yeah. There's always different.
But yeah, I'd say the majority of jumps I am coasting on the takeoff or braking on the takeoff.
Exactly.
Yeah. The majority of jumps.
Yep. Which is, I felt like such a beginner, man. I was like, and not that, we're all learning at different paces and stuff, but I was like, man, I'm getting my teeth kicked in on style points from a kid on a little TTR 50. It It looked bad.
You know where I kind of learned this lesson off of the dirt bike was downhill mountain biking. So when I first started going off of drops, I would always go too slow and then almost need to like get a last second pedal crank in, which is kind of the worst thing that you could do and the most dangerous thing you could do.
Yeah.
And then because I was like trying to time the drop. And then after sort of realizing and thinking to myself, oh, I'll just apply what I do on the dirt bike, which is come in with too much speed and then figure out what to do with all that speed as I get closer to takeoff.
Yeah.
That's what I started to apply in mountain biking is a good place I learned this actually was at Highland in New Hampshire, which has some like proper, pretty big runs. I'm pretty sure like there was was it slope style? There was one coming right down the center, like where the lifts go up over. And then I would take that one off to the left, and then it would be like the freestyle course basically, and which had some massive ones too. And I jumped everything. And when I started to get confidence is I would come in fast and work the brakes right when I get to the end, if I needed to, and then soak it up.
Gotcha.
And also what that would do is it make it so I never, ever had to pull off anything. I would just, if anything, just soak it up.
Yeah.
And I definitely do that on the dirt bike. Even when I jump stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
A lot of people watch me jump stuff for the first time and they go, you couldn't have possibly just done that just now for the very first time ever because you just did a scrub.
Yeah.
Basically. I'm like, no, I wanted to because I knew that if I mistimed it, I'd be coming down from 20 feet up instead of 35 feet up.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I wanted to go that way instead of
exactly.
Up. Yeah. Good question, Dr. Greg. Part 2 of the question.
Again, can I be your security guard? I'll wear the same vest that Jets guy had. I want to be behind the line. Just let me know. I don't have a problem with that. I'll find a security badge. Talk to you soon.
Dr. Greg, I would absolutely trust you as my security guard, and I wouldn't even put you in a mask.
Of course.
I wouldn't even put you in a mask.
That's funny.
Oh, he'd mess some people up. But Dave, you know, the entourage I've got a powerful, we got driver Jamie. Jamie one time was showing me, we were in a pub in Ireland and he was telling me like all the things that you could do to control somebody with just like their hands and their fingers.
Really?
And so he grabbed one of my fingers and kind of like started to do something. And he basically flung me across the other side of the pub.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to the point where somebody had to come over and ask if everything was okay and that if they needed him to leave or not. I'm like, no, it's just my security guard just showing me
showing me how he gets things done. That's hilarious.
Dr. Greg, yes, you can be my security guard.
Love that. Still can't believe
Cameron Bradshaw. Interesting question here. He said, how come MXGP mechanics don't let their riders' rear tire touch the ground when wheeling the bike to the starting gate?
Yeah, good point.
Well, I know why, I would guess. And why don't we do that over here? So I would guess that they're just trying to keep any dirt out of the tread so they can get as much traction coming off the metal grate as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Right?
But is that as needed on the grates? Like it used to be?
Yeah.
It still is?
Well, it's more needed when I think there's some tracks, like I want to say Tomahawk uses their metal grate in a lot of amateur races. When you have back-to-back gate drops on the metal grate and it starts to fill up with dirt and the expanded metal has dirt wedged in there, you can get wheel spin real easy.
Really?
Like you got to make sure that expanded metal is cleared off or you're just going to sit there and spin.
People still brushing them like they used to for concrete starts?
Right. So you got to make sure you're taking a wire brush or something. In the pros, I don't know. In Supercross, there's not enough gate drops to where you just line up and maybe there's a couple big chunks that ended up on there and you just kind of push those out of the way.
Good point.
But you're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the purpose is keep that back tire as fresh and as much dirt off as you possibly can.
Yeah.
They should probably, you would think, do that
that was
for over here as well.
That was my thinking. Yeah.
But I don't know. A lot of stuff, by the way, takes a while to catch on here.
Yeah.
I finally noticed that most of the starting gate uses blocks now. That didn't start here. That started with the Euro guys and the Euro guys having blocks that were to where they could keep their great. That's very smart.
Super smart. I like that. But yeah,
that's starting to catch on a little bit more here now.
They do race in the elements a lot more than we do as well. So, I mean, a lot of their staging, crazy muddy.
Right.
And you got to also look at a lot of people are starting to use the paddles, which there's a lot less contact patch per knobby. So what you said, if you're seeing wheel spin, it's going to be even like exacerbated even more because there's less contact patch because the paddles essentially come to like a point almost. So
that's a good point.
It makes sense. Yeah, I could see that.
That's a good point. Oh, all right. I don't know. Have we answered this one yet? Carter Pratt said, any advice on trying to whip for the first time? Do you remember us answering that one recently?
So. Do you remember when you started doing your first really good whips?
Yes, I do. It was at Rocky Hill. I mean, maybe there was Moto Town days. For sure, I was practicing like on the finish line even. But that jump was a little too small to really practice any substantial whip.
It was more...
It was straight up and down kind of, and like I practiced a lot of freestyle tricks on that jump.
Yeah.
But what I would do, I remember specifically on that jump, what I would practice was tabletop whips with one hand.
Oh, really?
So I would take my left hand off on my 85 and just practice letting the bike lean as much underneath me as I could, just with my hand like this, which was fun. But Rocky Hill was truly where I remember learning how to whip.
Which jump?
There was a tabletop. So in the parking lot, if you're looking at the 105 here off to your right, and it was right here along the parking lot going towards the 105. It was when they had it like a little tabletop and then a bigger tabletop into a right-hand turn. So because this is an older layout, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that jump by chance?
Like what year would you say?
Probably 04, 05, 06.
Oh,
maybe.
so it was the big parking lot jump. And then
it was when the parking lot jump was huge.
And then a little like kind of step up table after.
And then there was a middle table coming the other way in the middle.
After you did this, and then back towards the back of the quad track. Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
So there was a couple good.
Yeah.
And then the 105 back in that day, I wasn't whipping that on the Super Mini. I was just straight up and down.
I think most people were.
But it was on those tabletops that I really practiced.
But they weren't small. The tabletop going back towards the quad track and the 105. I remember still on an 85, you still had to hit that flat corner pretty decently and set yourself up for it. Because if you didn't have the right angle for the corner, you were having to rail the outside and pray that you could make it. I remember that for sure.
So I think I started whipping a little when I was on 65s. But the problem with 65s, you watch any kid try to do a whip, it doesn't look quite right. I just think that
they're light.
It's really light, and there's something about, I think like the chassis is too short, like the wheelbase is too short. It just doesn't whip.
Yeah,
like it does.
It almost kick. You have to like kick out to do one. It's not quite.
And if they try to whip, it doesn't really come back.
Yeah.
So I saw a video of a little kid on a 65 scrubbing a sand roller the other day that Ethan sent me.
Yeah.
Incredible. But you could tell the video cut off and he was like this. And I'm like, oh, he probably crashed or he definitely didn't bring it back. Right.
It looks sick though.
But it was beautifully done. So like you can start to learn the movement on the takeoff on the 65, but what happens in the air isn't going to be very realistic. Even on the 85, you can start to do more of a normal whip on an 85 and Super Mini, but it still feels a little weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, no, I take that back. Cause I remember like there were Nick Sanacandro used to film those DVDs, right?
Oh, that's a name.
Yeah.
Dude.
I have Ethan has them. We've got to burn them on. So we got to get them. Cause I have all those DVDs.
Yeah. What was it?
I was throwing good whips.
He had some solid video. It was always local kids, and he did a really good job. Nick Sanacandro. That is a name, man.
Yep.
Wow.
I forget the names. There was like 2 movies he came out with, and then there was maybe one other person that would kind of do something similar. And I have all of those, and I have videos of me tossing it pretty darn good on an 85 and Super Mini, and it just kind of became second nature because I would just spend so much time at Rocky Hill practicing left, practicing right, scrubbing this way, all the freestyle tricks, goon riding even. Like I just learned the bike so much that by the time I was on big bikes, I was pretty dialed.
Yeah.
And then when I got on big bikes, forget about it. I would just hit the 105 over and over and over again.
Jeez.
And there was some years that you could toss it on the 105.
I wasn't tossing it. I was coming up short, and
well, that was a scary jump to do a whip on. I was so
afraid of going too long that I would purposely almost like clip the top just so I could be like, oh, okay, I didn't, because like if you went too far, you're leaning to flat from how far up?
Yep, and if you went short, you were landing on the steepest tape. They were like basically the 105 is a jump at Rocky Hill in Connecticut. Shout out for those of you that know it. And it was 2 spine tabletops that were 105 feet apart.
Yes.
And a miracle, actually, that jump stayed as it was for as long as it did. I think it was just so gnarly that, not many people really jumped.
You had to really know what you were doing and be committed, which are 2 it takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
To be able to do it.
And it would always switch directions. So sometimes it'd be coming out of the woods. Sometimes it'd be going back in towards the woods.
And it was also sort of on a sweeper a little bit.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to add some English into it.
Yeah.
And
my God.
You were up there. I remember the first time I hit it, I followed Matt Valenti off, and who will be there tomorrow, by the way. Their whole family's racing.
Really?
Yeah. Remember I followed him off of it, and I remember going, oh, that's where we parked. Like you can really see.
Oh yeah.
You can see like Tony like checking people in. You can see like the farmers down the road. Like you're up there and you're like, oh my God. And then like by some miracle you landed the downside. Right?
I remember the very first time I jumped it.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yep.
I followed Tony off of it. I'm pretty sure either Tony or John Dowd, which is kind of cool. And I was on a Super Mini, which was scary. I don't know. Did anybody else jump in on a Super Mini? Not that I ever saw, but maybe.
I think Joey King might have done it.
Really?
Maybe. I thought I saw him a couple. Mahisha?
I don't know. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
For those of you that are local to New England, who jumped the 105 on a Super Mini?
Yeah. Send us photos too. I want to see that stuff.
Yeah, or if you have video clip, anything.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
Because I have so much stuff on those little DVDs that we just have to get burned over.
I got like one picture of me doing it like when I had like super long hair back in the day. Like my hair is like 8 feet out from the
Looking like a predator.
Looking like a predator, but yeah.
So Carter said, any advice on trying to whip for the first time? So my advice typically when people ask that question is to start with scrubbing. Because doing a whip becomes the natural extension and progression of after you learn how to scrub. The scrub movement can be practiced with a quick twitch movement with your hips and your knees on a tabletop, any tabletop, without catching any air. And the goal, actually, the game you play is to just try to get the wheels back on the ground without catching air. And when you learn that snap and you can start getting effective at that snap, which I've taught like C-class guys, vet riders. Driver Jamie is amazing at doing it. He looks like a pro. Yeah.
Okay.
People watch Jamie like, whoa. Like, he could just throw a sick little scrub because it's effective, because there's a lot of jumps Jamie doesn't want to be doing.
Yeah.
But he wants to keep those wheels in the ground so he doesn't have to jump and slam down to the middle, right?
Okay. Yeah.
When you learn that quick twitch movement and figure the timing out, then when you want to jump a 20-foot tabletop, you do the movement, but it's a little slower. 50-foot tabletop, same movement, little slower. And what will happen is the bike comes out a little slower, comes back in a little slower. The bigger the jump, so on and so forth. And on the bigger jumps, that turns into a whip eventually. It's like the sky shot at Unadilla is a good example.
Yep.
During a moto, we're not doing whips on that jump.
No.
We're doing scrubs that turn into whips because it's a huge jump. So you got to carve that thing from the bottom.
Exactly.
Lean. And so that scrub will come out super slow and come back super slow.
Yeah.
That's how and that takes a lot of time to progress. That's how you learn a whip. I don't really teach anybody, and I would never teach anybody to just start with like learning how to just do a preload style, whip.
Yeah.
It's just too much to try to, that progression doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So Carter, hopefully that answers your question. You're at a good age to start practicing that scrub movement. Let's see. I think we've got everybody else is up to date so far. At least I've hearted them. Hour and 28 minutes. We've done it.
Oh, jeez.
We've done it. Also, I've been out at the pool every single day the last 3 days. And it's just, that's literally all I've done the last 3 days is I've been working out by the pool.
Yeah.
And it puts me in a bit of a different mood for the better, because it feels like I'm at a resort.
Yeah.
So I've been just kind of inspired, I guess, to post and thinking about more of, I've been reading books out there, and I'm kind of getting back into that.
I do see you
again.
posting more almost on the daily, where it's like just AJ's quick little 2 sentences of, hey, mindfulness, or what was the one before that you were?
The first, I think, honestly, the first one I talked about slowing down.
Slowing down. That's one. Because we even talked about it and how hard that is for people.
Yeah.
Off and on the bike, because we all want to go fast and be good, but slowing things down, not only is it beneficial, but it's also hard, especially if, like, for myself, I'm used to riding at a certain pace and having to go slow to work on my elbows and work on footing and be mindful of my injury. So it's difficult, man. It's the ego killer. It really hurts the ego, man. And it's like, man,
and it's hard because you're breaking the pattern of all of the old things. So, and that's why, like, I've been adamant this year about reminding people to slow down on the bike, but that also starts off the dirt bike. Same thing with the good posture off the dirt bike. Slowing down is a way of being, you know, and when you start to walk slower, when you start to drive slower, when you start to go about your life, taking your time a little bit more, enjoying the moments, moment to moment, instead of rushing to get to whatever the next thing is that you're doing to then just rush to get to the next thing after that. That's hard to do at first. Yeah. It's really, really hard to do at first. But when you start doing that, you start breaking patterns of behavior. Even just changing your walking stride is breaking a pattern of behavior. And it starts to get your body responds a different way. Your mind starts to respond a different way. At first it feels very uncomfortable because you feel like you're missing something or you feel like you're going to miss something or like you should be doing something else or doing something more. So yeah, but I guess what I was getting to is I've been inspired lately because I've gone back to reading a lot more and now being back in the backyard, which I told Allie, I'm like, if we're going to stay here for a while, which I want to, I want to make our backyard feel like a resort. Yeah. Because why wouldn't we?
Dude, Manny did it and he took him a long time to try to part with it.
Let's stay put, but let's make our space feel inspiring.
As you should. Right?
Yeah. And that's what it did. It feels inspiring. So I'm out back there just feeling like Deepak Chopra or Rick Rubin and just giving and they're supposed to be quick, but they end up being like 8 minutes long. So now it's turned into a thing, whoever's watching at the end. And I've been consistent with those each day. And what I've tried to do, and these are fun for me, is I try to talk about whatever it is that I've read that day or what I'm thinking about that day. And it's all mindfulness related. And then tying that back in at the end of the conversation, tying that into how you can apply this mindfulness for the dirt bike and on the dirt bike. Because all of it ties in. All of it ties in.
It does.
And it's been fun at the tour trying to tie it in a single day tour. It was fun last year at summer camp, taking the 5 days summer camp, tying in the mindfulness conversation and the mindset talk. And it was my first time really doing that on that caliber and that level. And this year was my first year doing it at the tour dates. So my riders meetings in the morning have changed. The way I teach has changed because it's more talking about mindfulness now and how that integrates. Ethan just finished editing a video yesterday of part 1 of our London or our England vlog. And it's epic. It's like, it's such a perfectly cadenced video and that it introduces Coach Alessandro and shows his personality. It shows the vibe of class and how everybody's having a good time and learning. It shows my new style of teaching, which is very clear and concise still, but definitely more mindful than what it was. It's really cool. So keep your eyes peeled for that video, guys. That should be out any day. We're getting back to, Ethan is getting to that level of where Cameraman Cam was and as far as storytelling goes. That's what I've been wanting to get back to. Because like I said, our focus has been on short form so much that I want to get back to creating a storyline and investing people into what we're doing on a week-to-week basis.
I love that, man. EQ, the whole TMA staff, I always encourage people to go in and DM them and just say, hey, love what you guys are doing. Thank you for this, because they're busting their butt. They're all leveling up. They're all trying to do better, to make the app better, to make the community happier. And EQ stuff is just off the rails, man. He's crushing it, man.
He's just really committed to learning and leveling up. Which is the most important quality, I would argue. And even in our call,
was it yesterday or the day before, where he's like running and gunning on what the program should be for tomorrow. I'm like, dude, look at this PM EQ, dude, program manager extraordinaire. It was cool, man. Yeah, it was cool.
Let me read one comment. So this was a post I put up yesterday talking about where are you placing your awareness today? Like, what is your awareness placed on? It was an 8-minute video. The reason I filmed it and was inspired to film it is because I just got off a team call that morning, and it was a team vision call, 1-hour call that we have on Fridays. And it was the best team call we've probably had in all year, easily. And the reason I say it was the best is because you could just tell the vibe of the team. Everybody, the energy was up. Everybody was hyper creative, and everybody, like, there was just a good mood. Right? And I reflected on it after that call ended, And I thought to myself, and this was kind of an obvious observation, I guess, is that we don't have a COO right now, right? So I am the CEO, but also acting sort of basically as COO as well. I oversee every single operation, very hands-on. So my job is tough because I'm trying to create the vision, articulate the vision, and also deal with the details and the nitty-gritty. So what I found myself over the last 6 months is I was getting too much ingrained in the weeds of the details and only looking for what is wrong. Only looking for what did they miss? What didn't they do? What did they do wrong?
It's tough.
Which is important because if you don't have a COO, like that you kind of need some of that, right? But my awareness was only on that.
Yeah.
So I was in the worst mood. I was getting stressed out at times because I'm only seeing the bad things. I see the good, but don't even really acknowledge it because I'm just focused on, okay, well, what's missing from this good thing? And then it kind of kills the team vibe on the calls a little bit because, and tour manager Al made a good point. He goes, AJ, at least I can speak for myself on those calls. I just want it to make you happy.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to be able to know that I'm doing well enough in my position to where like you're happy.
Yeah.
And so if we get on the calls and you don't seem happy, it's not a motivator.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
If anything, it's a demotivator. And so I posted a video yesterday of where is your awareness today? Like, are you noticing all the red lights you're hitting? Are you noticing all the things that are going bad? Or are you placing your awareness on what is good?
Yeah.
And a brand new member, I want to find this comment because I literally laughed out loud at it because it rings so true of what the Moto Academy is. And the comments on all of these, by the way, are so awesome. The community is just so amazing. And I think new members don't know until they get in here and they're like,
oh, this is
whoa, this is what this place is?
We're trying to, it's hard to
It's very hard
convey.
to get people. Yeah. It's like, you got to
experience
it. You got to experiment. You got to experience
It's like trying to tell people about motocross, you know?
So Lapper142 is his username in the app.
I like that.
He goes, hi, everyone. I'm new here. Just wanted to say great video, AJ. Wasn't expecting a mindset video right off the bat, but this was a great reminder that I need to shift my awareness back to positives. Thank you for this and happy birthday. And I just pictured him getting in the app and this being the first video that he sees. And that's why I laughed because I was just like, he probably got in the app thinking he was going to get one thing.
Yeah.
And then this is what he got.
Gotcha.
And it was... yeah, that is the hardest part about selling this app, so to speak.
It's tough.
Is that people get in the app because they think that they want an instructional video. They stay because of the community and because of the fact that we are building mindfulness around how to level up as a human being, not just as a dirt bike rider.
Yep.
And it's really hard to, I was talking with Scott about this before you got here about meditation. Scott's gotten big into meditation this year, as have I over the last few years. And talking about meditation is sort of like talking to somebody about what it's like to have a kid before they have a kid.
Yeah.
You can't.
They're not going to get it.
They're not going to get it. You can't have that conversation.
Yeah.
Same thing with meditation. You can't really fully, how are you going to explain that to somebody until they experience what it is? Exactly. And it's sort of the same thing with the app. It's like, I could sit here and tell you how good it is all day long, but until you get in and realize that what's going to keep you is not in fact what you thought you needed or were looking for at all.
Yeah.
Man, it's special though. It's really cool.
It is. It really,
it's so many different types of people in there.
It's crazy. And like, not only is it so great and encouraging, but also once you start finding your buddies, like the amount of comedians that are in this app that can like razz you in and then it'll just make you spit out water laughing. Like me and Jackson have our Sunday night lives, and Mike and Andrew and like
driest humor of all time,
dude. It's so freaking funny. Or Alex, local A class, or you have GP in there saying something, and dude, we can't stop. Like half the time Jackson's a comedian, so I'm laughing about that. Then I'm reading the comments and I'm like, dude, I gotta catch my breath. I need an inhaler. Like it's absolutely incredible. And it's so unique. Where else are you gonna find that? You can't find it on Instagram for Moto community. Like God forbid you post a video where you're not Jet Lawrence upside down scrubbing, and good luck hearing a positive comment about your riding.
Yeah, well, you see our public podcast comments.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
It's
nuts.
It's crazy out there.
Yeah. It's scary.
It's crazy out there. You got to find your people.
Oh man,
We found them, thankfully.
I keep going back to him. It's like just crapping all over you. I'm like, he's trying to help people learn how to, he just wants to share passion. I'm like, jeez, dude.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yep. All right. Hour 40, we did it. So to the 2 people still listening, shout out Dr. Greg. Shout out Carter Pratt. Shout out local A class. Shout out driver Jamie. Shout out Lapper 142.
Yeah.
New member. I love it. We did it. Toodaloo.